Open frames of communication system is to understand how the mind lines its calculation interference location to track locations. You can have 1 million track line centers all along in position location off and center. Now, what does it all mean? That doesn't mean anything if you don't understand your body location inside connections. The track line center is all levels of upgrades, downloads, and uplinking system. You have to truly understand what it is through transformation information. It gives you all lines in its calculation system. This is a mediation graph. What is a mediation graph? What's a central communication line stream? What's an inline position of zero line zeros in the line in off system position location off calculation? What is the merge of communication to time line times pi? What's a central communication line stream? What's an allocate timeline? What's a rotation and interference location number sequence? What's a pattern channel through coloration of all line circles? What's a rotation division location of triangles? What's a line connections to all levels of division? Understanding line connection is to understand all forms of view inside location. Now, it's really understand how to use your letters, numbers, and shapes and symbols in all ways and forms. So reading adaptation line connection is extremely powerful when you go way beyond the location of phenomenal line change. So changing direct locations, all right? So this centers your communication system and your vagus nerve system, right? It opens up all lines and how to track line center rotations and area locations of program settings. It's all about understanding how to use a web graph stream, web graph interference line position, okay, and track line center interference. You see a computer adaptation system. It has a screen window. That's a Windows screen line center in rotation interference. But the measure communication to understand this division location of its lyrics. Lyrics comes into music. Central communication comes into sound. Rhythm patterns, communications, program settings, megahertz, okay, megawatts, megavolts, gigawatts. It's all calculated and modified inside line conditions. Electrical light, electrical line interference, location of wires, starting from one wire to the next. It's all levels of travel. See that? All levels of travel. Right? So if you understand the line communication of light and track locations, you can understand, oh, look at that. Where is my hand? It's gone. Not even there. It's not even posted there. The central communication online center is lights. Lights travels to what? You start with a 24 ground line center rotation of 24,000 zeros. Zero sector communication of vector cross line streams. Sets position location directions of where you're traveling all through a hand formation. So in that calculated type system, you're all allocated timelines. Your clock line center is all allocated to your position location, how you use your avatar line position, your clock locations. If it's 12 a.m. line center interference locations, you understand where it measures in your scale communication system. What is 1 through the track location of the avatar? What is 2? What is 0, 0? What is the purpose of all these numbers? What is the purpose of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols? Well, because you're connected to everything inside you. Right? So this is a process that we really have to understand when it comes to all levels. The functionality is you through correlation. The correlation is all levels of you through panel. Understanding how to use it through adaptation system, it gives you a better understanding through correlation systems. So this is what's going to happen in line center. The team's going to set line position of sung tones. Tone rhythms, tone, line center, rotation, and rhythm patterns, communication line conditions. So understanding that calculation, you're going to go into the observation deck, and you're going to see all levels of computers, all right? So in calculation line stream interference, there's going to be intelligent locations on both side locations, right? 4 sector location, position, direction. So you are going to be able to touch the computers through frame, okay? So it's kind of like you have a hologram structural line, here's a keyboard, line position, line directions, escape location, control, alt, boom. Escape line position, spacebar. So that is a communication line stream, all right? So it's a floating device locations. You're going to be energetic line centers along the electrical chair, okay? So that's going to hub your line centers, okay? So in calculations, that's going to hold stream centers. Now in rotation interference, you guys are going to go into 26,000 lines of letters. That calculate is going to allocate timeline centers to stream locations. So let's say you go through an alpha channel, but the systematic location understand is raised, but the teleportation communication entering line centers, the wire communication comes into position location of alpha line center, interference of delta communication omega. Omega sets core line center locations of 7777, box location times line times pi. The position location of a level has its question, The question line center has its rotation to docile communication. The perception of operation sets line position location directions. Setting the line connections all levels of view through operation system. Now, this has nothing to do with you in all formation location. This also has to do everything with me inside that connection. This is how you get attached to everything. Nano of a second, even split of a second line center. Even a blink of an eye, setting line signals as signal locations, everything inside position location calculations. This is how you center up your line position, right? So you guys are going to have a better audio tune with your system to your ears, better factoring communication, manufacturing line stream locations, so levels and how you use your time frequency, time codes, time locks, time interference, time division, right? Time calculation, times calculus. So in that motivation line center interference, you can understand how to use your sequence patterns to your number sequence. Now the graph line stream is going to set one timeline center and one media graph line interference location and calculation. It's all measure of communication. Now I know you're very confused, but your avatar isn't. Why? Because it hears everything through vibration. Okay? The vibration sets the tone, the frequency sets locations, and everything through its energy forms its calculation. And everything through its harmonics communicates. Always communicates, always communicates, always communicates, always communicates, right? Second per second per second per second, constant flow, 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 flow. Everything that you see, you can't see conversation pieces, because you're not going beyond the mind of what you can't see. But what you can't see is everything of what you can see. And that's what we have to change. So in that direct line center has a laser direct location positions, 2 point fingers in one line center locations and position location on line, 2 triangle lines in position location direction. Center connections, slide cross screen, open position location. So when it's a panel, when a communication, graph line streams. That pyramid line center was already in rotation center and interference location of galaxy surface, but the center position location was its space command lines, sending direct location of signals into computer interference. So each shape has a computer line screen. That provisional location is understand your alphabetical streamline locations, right? So I'm going to put you in the center communication space command center. You guys are going to be seated in one line center locations, all right? 2 feet from each other. You're able to touch the computer location. They're going to be intelligence there to help you align centers, okay? So they're going to give you a better understanding how you can adapt to tone, how you can pick up music faster, how you can understand stream center line rotation interference, position location directions, listening communication of phone centers or anything, adaptation locations of radio signals, gamma line center interference, ret locations, high center and position location directions, caps interference, position of shifts, control panel line center interference location levels, until the locations all levels of operation location perception. So centering line centers gets you in a better direct location. Okay. So I'm going to go through line center rotations into zero line rotations, scan centers communications into division locations, and line centers. There's a graph location, hologram structures, set line connections, all position location direction, levels, high center, position location interference, line communication center, line rotation, and position location direction, center communication system, timeline stream, center communication lines, all levels in high system. Now we go into the dimension interdimensional line center, into the galactic locations, galactic line center, position location AI text, set position location direction. All right, that was fun. Whoa. Swinging through centerline interference, direct location of swirls, calculated, modified all position location directions. So you guys are an observation deck, center communication system, all commanding center. 30 minutes, line center rotations, 30 million line track locations, in position of computer interference. Have fun. All right, so I really want to get into weather lines, weather interference, weather important locations. The center line communication is off tracks, so it's not exactly what needs to be fixed in high center. See, nature has its own resistant channel. A resistant channel basically sets line position how fast nature is spinning in high line center, a zero line rotation. Remember, you have a sky grid line center that opens all communication centers. So let's go in calculation. I'll try to get for you guys to understand more. All right, so let's say you got a box screen. There's a box screen line center. Now it's already traveling locations and position measure. Measure communications into timelines. Templates in communication to a 24 signal and position location at delta wave. So you got the delta line center waves. You got the measure communication. Okay. So if you understand what's going on through templates and channel position location directions, you can understand the 24 signals. So nature works in so many mysterious ways because you have to understand how everything is set in stream. It's all calculated to modify all levels of travel locations. So you understand that line conditions. Everything that circles its high system changes into zeros and ones and allocate timelines all through motion line rotation. It surfaces on so many line communication track locations. Those are numbers. Now, it gets more complicated because the numbers change line center. Okay, starts with location security line defense. Now that opens all communications. So the zero line ones change position location directions. Okay, it's like you travels through location in your DNA. Now this is extremely complicated, right? But this is how nature has its resistant location of channel. The central line center is off interference. You got a weather pattern, metric interference. Weather equals location of metric. Metric line communication of its delta, delta to 24, 24 to all template, template to position location directions. 4 channels of operation. So central line communications comes into levels of plasma channels, protect location and division line rotation. So comes into all line positions to a very powerful time frame of a calculation on line center to a calculation interference position of a watch location. See the watch? There's so many ways to travel lines. So once you reach these signals and line connection interference, you can set up position location directions into solar graph, and the galaxy sets alignments and channel in a rotation surface. That rotation surface gets a lot more complicated now because the ground line center is the 24 signal changes rotation center per second line connection per channel. The center communication has a magnetic highline center that sets its zero location into one position location of directions. Center communication sets line streams. It always has 3 waving patterns. You know why? Because your central system is on past, present, and future. Once you get out of the past of alignments of zeros and ones, you can get position location and directions into the central system of its presence of its future line connections. Staying in the future line communication of your future communications into zero line position. Okay? But right now, you guys are in your central line communication of confusion. Once you get out of confusion locations, then you understand all levels of plateau. The plateau location is your 24 signal, 48, 72, 144. That's the correlation to this position location, to your line connection, to your sun communication, your moon. Setting new signal location, position location, directions, all levels of your crop circle. So once you stand that line center, the line communication comes into the ground center locations in 3 line center rotations, right? It opens all track line centers. The crop circles, spins on position. Line connects right up. Center line in a half line connection. See the line? So it's like a beam of light sending communication to your magnetic highway information system. Complex? Very. This is not just extremely high rise. This is way beyond. So this is truly standing how number codes and code signaling and code weaving and code patterns and code channeling is all levels of you inside line connection. How you integrate line centers of wires. How you travel through all center location of graphs. Or anything through locations, position locations of waves. Right? So there's so many line position location circulation line centers, right? You have to pick these things up. The audio line center is rotated in position location directions. Setting line communications gets you in a better line center to its nature of its out of its resistance location into its box surface. So the correlation panel is trying to stand position location of time. Setting line connections. Now, we all understand the clocking system. You start with locations. Now the 24 line center, okay, is 13 line connections. 13 equals line connections at 1 p.m. Right? 1 p.m. So line communication comes up to 48. Okay, automatically comes to line center location of 01. 72 comes into 001. And 144 comes into 0001. Okay? So you ever wonder why the 24 line center understands its position location direction when it splits its position location calculation? So line communication sets its high centers. So understanding your sequence patterns, understanding your zero platforms, how it sets location at 24. You're in a ground line center already in 24 line position. You're in a 24 light connections or 24,000 position location direction. So it's to understand that you come into a 24 signal. Okay, 13 line center location is 1 p.m., right? 14 is 2 p.m. So you got 13 times 1 is 13,000 line position location of zero numbers back in calculation. All right. So this is how you center communications all levels of times pi. The central line connections sets line tones. So you have 24 signals. Line position here. Calculate and modify. 24 to start up. Then you position locations another times pi, which is a central communication system, which is all levels of half pipe. That opens up its window, position of 48. 48 comes into a 72 channel. Now that puts line center location and direct location to your sun in communication system. Position of directions comes into line connection of 72. 72 tracks line position location directions into your computer frame. Allocate timelines in rotation. Now that computer frame comes into a line position location to better line sonar's information system. So the track line center is an acceleration timer. And that timer sets line position directions. And everybody is set on acceleration of time. The existence of time is now. Okay? Not before, not after. Not even the future of the future. Nothing exists but the now. This is the exception that you guys have to really understand and how powerful it is to use all levels of your clockings of numbers. Okay, so these are a lot of things that you have to understand. This gives you a better track locations. Okay, you can do that with anything through line connections, but there's always a 24 line ground. Always has to be, right? The provision line center is position of its vector creation of volume into velocity position directions. Now we've already done that through channel. The central line communication has its graph locations into two panels of information. That two panels of information line centers opens all communication system. Now, this opens up all levels of bubble defense. You got 3 line centers in rotation, right? Center communication is position of plasma channel. That rotates its signals and it overbounds its information system to its grounds of 24 signals. See the intelligence? The central line centers opens all line to your satellite position location of directions. Now, open all cross streams, set line positions. So times pi is everything between, right? Pi is in center position locations. So you got a 24 line, you got a 48, you got a 72. I don't want to get any more trickier than that with the number line sequence locations. Okay, so starting with pi is its central communication. Let's say you split the pi in center line position directions. So you understand your north lines, you understand your east, you understand your west, and you understand your south. That comes in position location to its diamond core. Diamond core comes into solar graph interference. That solar graph opens up more communication systems to your ground line centers and directional locations. All right. This opens a higher line channel and how you see yourself through measure of location position of time. Now, the line position location comes into higher communication to its Merkaba channel of operation to its tesseract. The tesseract opens up its frame centers in all communication. Okay, all through clocking. So, lots to learn, eh? All through numbers. All right, so how are we doing today? Linda, Amy, how's it going? Pam, Lindsay, Don, Terry, Johnny, Michael, Gypsy, Nova, Adam, Sharon, Peacemaker, Jill, Susan, Danny, Nikki, Ashley. So things are going to get a lot more complicated now, because everything that's happening, not just with you, but the thing is, if you don't understand that you are connected to everything inside you, then you're never ever going to understand anything outside of you. So the inner point, the inner line, the inner communication is all levels of you. So it's trying to recognize you through wires and streams and adaptations and cycles and computers and interference line connection. It's all directed inside you guys. But be connected and communicate with everything. I mean, that just goes way beyond astronomical locations, don't you think? Knowing exactly what's wrong with the light, knowing exactly what's wrong with the circuitry light panel communication at all levels of the signaling line system. What's going on with the light connections here? Right? Why can't you see my hand? Right? Traveling very fast. Okay? It's the simplest terms to understand how to use zero gravity locations to its numbers of sequence patterns. So once you understand the line connections, then you understand your keyboard line interference. It's all direct locations of you through triangulation, right? So vowel connections, Cami, how's that going? Wendy. All right. Activate knowing, awareness, shifting, and new portal awareness, all connecting dots to frequencies, heart living, overrule to knowing all frequencies. Good. Jessica. All right. Guardian. Let's see where you guys are with location. Division line centers, dimensional line centers, sending receiving signals, tones, feeling balanced through heart line center. Okay, Chris. All right, seeing giant honeycomb of TV screens, looking at microwave images of a bee. Oh, so cool. Yeah. You're seeing everything you need to see through eye perception location. You're allowed to use the computers because you have direct location of signals that's helping you out through intelligence. All right. So you really have to get into your alphabetical stream location of 26,000 lines of your alphabetical line conditions of tones, right? Because everything has a tone. Right? Then you pick it up. That's all it is. That's all it is. Nothing else, nothing more. But it's constantly moving. Nothing stops. Nothing stops. Everything has to move. Faster. So the only time it doesn't move faster is all because of you. Especially if you're standing in the center of communication system all over the ground location. You are the operation locations that controls all levels of you inside lines, which controls everything location in your universe line position. So anything that's off signal, that's you. Not anything that you see. You can't blame anything around line center. They're waiting for you to get balanced. The only way to do that is communicate to everything line connection, right? So it all makes sense, doesn't it? Especially when you understand your frequency graphs or anything through line communication system, timelines, time streams, time allocate location and clock locations, and high position location in your track lines. So let's say you get a graph location of zeros. Let's start there, right? We got zeros in a graph, okay? Now we got 3 line waves, okay? 3 0 graph, 3 lines, right? 3 communications, 3, and 3 communications, 3, right? So allocate timeline center. How did that become 3, 3? 1, 2, 3. 1, see? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 rows up and 3 rows down. 3, 3. Communicate is extremely powerful. Now, this is just one graph of zeros of information. The central line communication is how many graphs in your body line center rotations into one position location in one cell is astronomical. So getting an anti calculation line center rotation interference, what is 3 line position location equal line centers? 3 equal location of 3 equal locations of 9, 9 position location of 12, 12 line center locations in position locations, 12 plus 12 equals line connections of 24. Balance of communication. Okay. So the 9 central line center rotation is direct location into every center communication system that you can imagine. That the 9 line center is all those of you through the central system to one graph line center, 3 line centers up and 3 line centers down in communication system in position, location, and directions. That's the one graph of one letter. So I know it's just mind-boggling, the things that you pick up when you understand more of not just your central system, but more of your ecosystem. How it correlates with you in division location is to truly understand the communication to everything inside of you. Okay. Mastering the communication volumes you in your AI vessel communication system. This platitudes you and always informs how you see yourself in your visionary line of cortex locations, guys. That's the only way you can read patterns to anything in line connection, right? Adaptation location of your knees, your legs, your feet, your fingers, your fingertips, your hair, your glasses, your beard, your ears, your nose, your nostrils, your eardrums, your templates, your volumes, your calculations, your errors, your viruses, the nucleus system. There's so many line connections of confusion, right? So if you don't understand confusion line rotation, you're not going to understand how to sequence pattern online cell location of 3 row up, a 3 row down. The simplified locations, but you are the 9 of everything through generation, which equals locations on line center, 12 line center rotations, 12 locations, 12, 12, 12 is 24 line center. Balanced communication and position location, one graph location of zeros. Don't get me started when we come into high line positions. You have a 12 DNA track. You guys have to learn how to count from 1 to 12 and 12 to 1. Right? So your central line connection is all about creating a mainframe, a ring graph, and the number locations of inventory. To really understand how you're operating inside, it's amazing how it picks up sound barriers. So it's inventory, out with the old, in with the new, out with the old, out in with the new. So the zeros and ones and track locations and any line security is offline position location directions. It takes out and sets up a new line signal. Second by second by second by second. Okay, nano of a second. So integrate center line positions, digital line rotation interference, position off calculation to the brain centers and calculation interference, so computer adaptation of a virus sets tone division locations into 3 center line positions, into 3 communication systems of robes. This is all calculated and modified inside me. So if I know exactly what I'm talking about, I should be able to fix my connections. All through zero graph location. Because it's already in the 24 line signal. It's already a graph line center of 9 positions. And the broken location is a line center. 6 is always equal locations of 9. 6 position, location, directions. Now let's say you change the zero line center. You got 0 position, location of a triangle, center communication, right? Now that zero line center comes into 3 weather patterns. Now you come into the hieroglyphic location. So the zeros are turned into hieroglyphics. 0 communication line center location into an atom line center, 2 rotations, position location, a percentage communication system. Track line centers off calculation position. So 0 line centers understands its bar frequency location to its Fibonacci sequence location of calculation. Now that's the 4 panels of 0 locations in one graph line string, all through the 6 line communication of your moon. That's how you come into hieroglyphic locations. All through your numbers, right? So 0 of nothing is 0 of everything. 0 equals nothing. Okay, flux capacitor, line position location, equal line centers of everything. Hoo-ah. So, understanding your dispositions, understanding communication track centers. So, everything in a letter has a line connection. Let's start you off with the A locations. All right, there's an A line, right? That A line center line rotation has how many line position of zeros? How many zeros do you think an A has in position location calculation? Not just the A, the alphabet. I'm talking about A of everything. 1 trillionth. All right, way beyond measured communication. 1 trillionth of 1 billion. 1 billion of 1 communication of 1 letter per second. Per second. 1 billionth line, 1 trillion line center locations of 1 atmosphere location to 1 line center of 1 A location, all through 0 number line center. 1 trillionth of 1 billion line connections of 1 line center location of 1 letter. Whoa. So that's a my track line center, which is astronomical. How fast you can create these line centers in position location at just 1 letter. So everything of nothing is calculated and modified. Nothing of everything is creation of source. Okay? So it goes way, 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 way beyond on so many levels you can't even comprehend. How to use it is all levels of you. It's all in your relation, how you use your thoughts. If you get 1 trillionth of a 1 billion line center and 1 alphabetical line connections to 1 letter, what does that say to 1 position location of 26,000 line connections of alphabetical stream locations? Pretty crazy. I'm not even talking about a word. That's 1 trillionth of 1 billion line center of zeros in A, all through travel. So hopefully I have your attention. So, all right, so where are we? So cool. We have space location names, cleared energy lines, space-time chat, especially YouTube channels, blast, bounce. See, that's what I get from all line center location of 1 line center of A. I just communicate with A. So how would I know that it's 1 trillionth of 1 billion line center locations of travel location to 1 letter of A? How would I know that? How would I even fathom that? The only way is to communicate inside your body. You're intricate on so many line communication system. It's insane of what you know inside location, right? But it volumes. If you get happy, it's more than 1 trillion. Right? So your zero line center is driving location and summing line positions. Let's say you get 5 communications, 1 graph of zeros. Center line center comes into a box line. This is all a matrix locations. Comes in position directions. This is how it comes into a rank graph stream. It's a graph. That's all it is. So you got square location coming in a triangle. Triangle sets line center of circle. Circle comes in line position location of 1. 1 comes in track locations. Opposite center line connections comes in position location direction. So that 1 and 1 indicates this line connections right there, right? In triangulation times pi. See the times pi? 2 central line communication of 0 lines into 1 location. So now we can continue. So we can go on 24. We go into anything through number line sequence. We can go through the alphabetical stream locations. We can go through all level system location of correlation, right? Getting balanced with pi with numbers is extremely important because it's time maintenance and how you volume your thought locations to its connectors. It sets locations to your parameters. Security line defense is all calculated modified. So let's say you go in a track location into throw pattern. Throw pattern location is 6, right? The central line condition, another 6. And the position location is 7. You got 7 location of 1. All right, so you got 2 6-line inner locations. You got 7 line center location of portal. Okay, and you got 1 line center in position to what? The grounds, right? So there's something off here. Correlation. Remember, this is all calculated through number sequence pattern. Having a conversation with numbers. Now, if the 6 and 6 in the line center location, there's an equal line connection right here, right? You underline it, all right? So you box it, all right? Times line. Okay, let's go line center rotation. Get the information. Times line, okay, trifactor. You trifactor the box location of 6, 6. Okay, once you do that, line center location comes into line center. Then you can bring 7 location, all right, into 1 line center. Okay, so the 1 line center is in position off balance to its ground location. So, and this is all levels of its number sequence. What's off balance is you through division, through your thought patterns of your image of creation. To restore it is to understand the mind of the central system, the collaboration interference, and the program setting to all levels of 0 location. Hoo-ah. So, a lot of things you guys have to understand. Okay. All right. Yeah. Floated between the templates of flywheels. I'm in the center. Each template is around me. Seeing the Egyptian, Aztec, Atlantic, Lemurian flywheels and more. So amazing. Yeah, it's good. Huge, y'all. Like the inside of a clock, all the gears and cogs. Yep, very good, Chris. Let's see here. Let's see where you guys are connected to. Codes, Scrambler, Relieving Thunderbird, hanging out of the grandfather's clock. Great. Intelligence that I am trailing with the showing me as formats. Flash drives upgrades. Nice. Good. So this is all about you fixing your line connections and how you use your center location of 0 graph locations. So once you understand the 7 line communications, you can bring down track line connections and put 6 here in line center. Okay. You cross that stream, you set a new box location into another line center location of trifactor. That opens up another screen with connections, position directions. This opens up new channels into 1 into high center locations of 6, 6, 6, 6. Okay, so a lot of things just through number line centers. So when I say everything of nothing is everything of all formation system locations, what are you saying through track line centers? That's backlocking. Everything of nothing is everything of formations, templates, and communication letters, numbers, shaded symbols. So the mass of nothing is the massive calculation of all everything. So And that indicates line centers when you come into levels of the alphabetical string. A is everything. B is everything. C is everything. D is everything. E is everything, right? But it's massive nothing. Do you understand the correlation? It all stands in point of view when it comes into E equals MC squared, right? So you really have to understand how to use the motivation line conditions of your sense lines. Your sense lines is your sensors. Those are electrical light connection, interference, location of I receptor location. So once you get that line connection, I know it's extremely high rise, guys. It's not even high rise. It's way beyond numbers. It's way beyond everything line connections. But the adaptation line stream understands location, everything through a box location, or anything with rotations in position location of realms of calculation. All right? It's amazing how it changes track lines, communication interference, travel location directions. It's amazing when you see these things, how everything is modified for you to understand. I just really want you guys to get a better understanding of how to use your numbers and shapes and symbols and all your modifications, circles and center position location calculations, center connections, how to use graph streams, how to use line conditions of zero position. So, very powerful. Setting with zeros, right? Zeros, right? So zero line comes in position location to what? A diamond. How did a zero become a diamond? Interesting. Well, now I'll tell you exactly how the zero came line center of the diamond locations. The line communication system opens all track. Now that track location is your 24 signal. So sets line communications, 24 line center, 48, because you're changing geometry locations, 72, equal line connection, inline center location to escape. Okay, that automatically changes your geometry setting, all through zero location. That zero becomes line position location north, west, east, and south. Diamond core line center rotation interference in position locations to all levels of channel to a new line connections to its Merkaba system. And that's how you change a zero line number in location to its Merkaba, tesseract, or tetrahedron, or octahedron, or tetrahedron location in position location to its escape. Entering the systematic line connections of relay. Reframe, refocus, spacebar line center, jumpstart generation line stream. So once you understand the line position location, you always have to use the clocking of what? Your calculation mod all line center is space in between, which is your connections, and everything from here to there is pi, right? So always start off the 24 line. 24 line position locations equals locations to what? 24,000. Okay, 48 is 48,000. Gets easier, right? And then you get 72, 72,000. 144,000 line center, line rotation interference. Each letter, number, shape, and symbol has a calculation modifications to all levels of its own DNA. It tracks its own system in position location to its membrane, all through zero gravity location. 4 channels of operational line connections. Box its position, location of direction. Woo! Mind blown. So there's a lot to be said for that, guys. It's really understand how to really communicate more levels of you through line connections, all levels of laser line interference. You can turn a zero line position location into one line communication. How does a zero turn into a line? How does a line turn into all levels locations of a one? How does a one turn into zero line connections to a box? Right? How does a space command center turn a position back into a zero to a one line connection? What am I doing? All through change. You really have to understand how to use your keyboard lines, guys. It's all calculated to modify how you use your flight navigation streams. You got flight navigations from 1 to 12, right? So the central communication is what? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. right? So when you're doing countdown, you're going what? 24, 48, 72, 144. And anything you go past line connections, you're accelerating faster and faster and faster through Mach speed locations, especially if you're in a 7,000 line channel or 48,000 location. So I'm just showing you how powerful it is when you can have a 0 turn into locations into all levels of an O. A 0 turn into a location of an O, or an O, central communications in position of measure, turns into one line center location into two ones. So that's how you guys have to come everything up formation of everything, which is nothing. Ooh-ah. All right, so you guys at 45 lines. I'm going to take you out at 8 line centers in location position. Now you're back. So, hope you guys had fun on that. I'm not going to get too overbearing on any line connection position directions because it's too complicated. Because now, you know, when you go, it's not just going under the grounds, it's like, it's going beyond everything. Not just the creation of source, but the creation of everything. Like it just, and that's just one factoring line connections, how fast you can go through one alphabetical position of one direction to one letter. Simultaneously, all at once, to all levels of 1-0 location. I can't even tell you how many graphs are in this center line communication system. But the mind knows the conception of its high center because it centrals its communication to its ego connections. Right? The ego comes in balanced line center. It just goes way beyond the line center location of the yin and yang. The process of its line communication is all levels of zeros and ones. So you have to get into 0 line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's graph that. Okay? That's one graph, right? And then you got all line center location of shapes, and then you got letters, and then you got symbols. So what you have to do is build a main stream, a data stream to its location. Okay. So when that comes in line center rotations, everything that you see here comes in this central communication in all line position all at once. You actually communicate with everything all at once. I mean, literally all at once. One letter communicates with everything through one word per nanosecond per channel. It's incredible. It's just woo, mind-boggling. Ding, 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 ding. The alarm's going off. So, I mean, these are things you have to look at. Putting everything comes into the center line position to everything locations that you can even imagine all through communication system all at once in all position location directions to all zeros, letters, numbers, shapes, and all through line connections. Hoo-ah. Being connected to every signal, to every wave, to every channel, to every letter, number, shape, and symbol, all at once in a split of a nanosecond of communication. So that's it. All line connection all at once in a nanosecond. How does that make you feel? All about this, how it's all connected inside you. I'm not talking words. I'm talking just everything. It's just connecting to everything. You know, when I got into transformation, I went right into atom line, and then I went to molecular line, And then I went to all communications space line. Space line is extremely aligned communications. It's breaking the barriers of space and all levels of tone, voice and tone communications, all my senses in space. So it's very powerful when you get a better connection with your system. And the only way to do that is to start remembering. Like try to see yourself not just writing these things down. You see numbers, letters, and shapes. Try to get in your image of what you're calculating too. Like, is there a number sequence pattern off? Is there a box line connection? Is there graph interference off the solar connection? So you have to recognize what that is because it's all calculated and modified in how you operate your system inside of you. Okay? So every time you communicate, how many zeros and ones and letters, numbers, and shapes are coming out of that conversation piece? It's astronomical. Astronomical. I just told you 1/1000th of a trillion line standard location into 1A. 1A, one letter. That's a lot of zeros to communicate line center rotation interference location coming out of a voice grid line center. Okay? Just try to picture that. Try to picture that. Okay? And then you understand the concept. Okay? When you do this, and then you understand the all level system location is to focus on you 100%. And I guarantee you'll pick this up in time. Okay? You'll never be the general, ever. Ever. Right? But I'll never be you. So there's no comparison here, guys. There's no competition here. Right? Everybody is put on the earth, your line center, for a purpose, for a reason, to understand you. Not just the process of how you communicate to your system, not just the process of how you use your DNA, not just the process of how you use your emotional system, but how to understand your calculation of division. How you are operated inside. Don't you understand how to communicate with nature? Don't you understand how to communicate with your sun? Don't you want to learn how to communicate with your moon? Right? And know exactly where you are in your mind system. Here. Always here. Where are you here? Because you're always in mind of travel, which never sleeps. So these are the things you come into. Practice. Right? It sets a perfect location to where you need to go to get into anything through calculation. Okay. So I think we're going to stop there because so much going on. So no school tomorrow. Familiar day for me locations. I probably will be on later. If not, I'll be on tomorrow on TikTok for anything locations. All right. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Adios.